Here we're playing Phoenix 500 with a 10-minute with 1 second increment game. I'm white again, surprisingly, so I can't play the Sicilian just yet. Maybe he did Queen C8 to get out of the discovery after Rook D1. Oh, hey, Shimrod. That could have been an idea. Guard the A6 pawn, get away from the D1 rook, potentially. Those could all be ideas, for sure. Alright, we're going to go C4 again. Alright, so Queen's Gambit declined. I personally like playing the exchange variation here. I feel like I know it pretty well, usually better than my opponent. Alright, he takes with a knight here, though. Maybe from white a Gyoko Piano next time? Yeah, I can definitely do that. If it does depend on what black plays against e4. Okay, he takes with the knight. Not a huge fan of this move, usually. Usually it's better to take back with the pawn. You get some central pawn presence, and you get to open up the bishop. When you take with the knight, I can play e4 here pretty easily. And this usually I feel like is a pretty big advantage at this level. Getting 2 central pawns versus your opponent's 1 central pawn that's really not that far advanced. If he takes the knight, I'll take back, and I'll have a very strong pawn center. One idea I have difficulties with is the Queen's Gambit decline, Bishop G5 and C5. There's different ways of playing against that. Typically, if you're not super familiar with it, you probably just want to play E3 to guard your pawn. You're probably just going to want to play E3 to guard your pawn, I would assume, if you're not familiar with it. If you do know what you're doing, you can take the pawn, or you can play like Knight F3 and things like that. E3 is probably the more solid way of playing, though. Okay, so you got 2 pawns in the center, knight on c3, knight on f3. Pretty nice position for white here. I'm expecting that it's going to take at least twice as long to go from 1600 to 2200, since I don't expect that you're going to win every game like you do at the lower ranks. Oh yeah, you're definitely right, X-Player. I'm not expecting to win every game. But, I mean, this is the first week, the second day of the first week. So I don't want to, like, hit 1400... Well, I don't want to get too high on the first week and then just kind of... I want to kind of stretch it out so that every week seems to have a different level of players for the most part. If I get through the 800 to 1200 rating too quickly, then the people that are watching those ratings, they're not going to get as many games as they might want to see. If I go too quickly, it depends on what my viewers' level is to a degree. If everybody that's watching... if everybody that's watching was like 1800 to 2200, then of course I'd try to get there as quick as possible. But I feel like my viewers are fairly balanced. From previous streams that I've done, I feel like it's fairly balanced, so don't want to rush at the start, but also don't want to take too long at the same time, so that I do give the higher rated players that do end up watching, they get to see some stuff to work on too. Unless I keep talking too much. Yeah, I do have to work on that sometimes. Too much talking. I like to explain stuff, though. I like to make it easier for you guys. C5 should be a mistake, but difficult to prove it. Oh, you're talking about in that Queen's Gambit decline line. I wouldn't say it's a mistake. It actually is perfectly fine for black to play in that kind of situation. Just like C5 here is also perfectly fine for him to play. I think I'm just going to go with A3. Counterattack the bishop. He takes, I take back. I still have this very strong pawn center. And this bishop on C8's bad. I have the 2 bishop advantage. I like my position here. You can't talk too much. That's just good. Alright, he plays knight c6 attacking the pawn, but due to tactical reasons, there's really not a threat on this pawn. If he ends up taking it, there are trade, take back, and then like discovered check ideas, or discovered attack ideas. Look up Rubinstein, Lasker, St. Petersburg, 1909. Good game illustrating the play in that line. Famous Rook King game. Yeah, so definitely check that out, Hiraha. That might help you out there. Good suggestion, Mr. Fartbrains. I'm just going to castle here, get my king safe. This is not a threat. yet, at least. Rubenstein's any way the player want to study? Yeah, Rubenstein's definitely a strong player. Monday almost lost a game to an 800 on time. Yeah, I gotta be careful about that sometimes. Okay, like I said, knight takes d4. It's a mistake here, unfortunately, for Phoenix. Sometimes if you see, I guess at this point they don't know, if you see something that looks free, you always gotta double check it just in case. Just in case. At this point, the pawn looked free. It is not, though, because of bishop to b5 check. The check here opens up the discovered attack on the queen. He should have just castled first, and then the threat would have been real. If he had castled first, I would have definitely had to defend the pawn or do something. Here, though, I can just win the queen. I'm up a queen for a piece. Now, let's go queen d6 and just stop him from castling kingside. No kingside castling here. No kingside castling. Alright, queenside castling also looks very risky. Bishop f4, threatening two different mates. I don't see a way for him to stop both of those. So it looks like checkmate next move, unfortunately, for Phoenix. As soon as my account gets turned premium and with the FM title, then I'll be able to analyze the games a bit better afterwards. With a non-premium account, I didn't know this until I actually started the challenge. I can't do the analyze board and move the pieces around and stuff like that. I guess you have to pay to get that ability, which is a little bit unfortunate. So let's tell this guy. Okay, so we'll back up this one a little bit. Okay, so opening choice here, Queen's Gambit declined is perfectly fine for black. When I take this pawn, though, he needs to take back with his pawn. When he takes with his knight, the downside is that I can build this nice little pawn duo in the center. Let's see. Okay, so he plays knight b6. I do have the duo pawn center here, which is pretty good. Knight f3, bishop b4. Knight f3, bishop b4, bishop d3, c5. So c5 is actually a perfectly fine move here. Counterattacking my d4 pawn. I don't really want to take there. Oh, I can draw arrows. Cool. I don't really want to take here. If they upgrade your account, you may just need to log out and back in instead of just refreshing. Oh, okay. I'll try doing that just after I finish this game here. Okay, that might actually help a bit. So c5 is actually a perfectly good move here. I didn't know I could actually draw arrows, which is nice. c5, if I take the pawn, he takes back, and then I lose my duo pawn center, which is not terrible, but also not what I'm going for. I played a3 to counterattack the bishop. If he takes the pawn, I take his bishop. He takes my knight. I take back. Oops, can't draw arrows. Alright, come on. There we go. I take back, and I have the two bishop advantage. That's probably what he should have gone for, though. I feel like this is actually very nice for me. This knight on b6 is really not doing a whole lot. Kind of blocked out everywhere. He played knight c6. I castled. He needs to just castle here. Don't take the bait. Just get castled. And that's going to save you a lot of problems here. If he just got ahead and castled, I would have had to guard this pawn. Probably bishop to e3. Or bishop to b2. I guess either one of them are fine. Just guarding the pawn. And then the game would have progressed from here. I'd play like rook c1, queen e2, maybe d5 at some point. He would have played, maybe try to do e5 at some point, or develop the bishop, or something like that. I'd have an advantage, but it's definitely not winning or right away or anything like that. So I'm going to take Archon's recommendation here and